Welcome to Kill Team Casuals, a podcast all about Kill Team filmed in 3 different time zones by 3 different gents. Enjoy. I've got some thoughts. Okay. I've never verbalized these thoughts and I've never really thought about them. So this would be live.
Dangerous ground.
This would be me live. Yeah, no, it's not like what do you think about the French or anything like that. This is Kill Team related.
Oh, buddy, I've got thoughts.
I've got strong thoughts about the French, he said. So what do you think? Like, and we can get into the woods on it, but the question is, do you think alpha strikes are good for a game system? Do you think it's good?
Good question.
Do you think it's good for a new? So when a new team is built, should because the problem is, alpha strikes are not given out. They're not equal, really, are they? Some teams have them and some teams don't have them. So
yes, some teams get flux blast. Yeah.
Some teams get flux blast, and some people get fire blast. You know what? They're not both equal. Although I must say, Fire Blast has never done anything good for me. We talk about feast or famine. I'm yet to get someone picking up the check on a Fire Blast for me.
Really?
Never.
That's crazy. Have you ever played them on Into the Dark?
Yeah, man.
The lethal 5?
No, mate, I'm telling you. I even went Zinch so I could open a door and be like, "Hello, boom," and I just roll atrocious. It is feast or famine. But I'm waiting for the feast. You know what I mean? I'm sat down. I've got my bib on. I'm like, boom, boom. I'm banging the table, waiting. And so far, it's been like a like, you know what I mean? It's someone's been like, let's go, and it's a single broad bean on the table. I'm like, thanks. But anyway, alpha strikes.
Either wipes people out, or it's just a sad fart.
It is basically. I've had a lot of sad farts. How do you feel?
I will say, if it's a game without alpha strikes, as again, Legionary is the team I play more than anything else. You have a potential for an alpha if your opponent gives it to you, right?
Okay.
So with Fire Blast, right? Because if someone crowds up 4 guardsmen, like, oh baby, and if I can take that shot turn 1. Yeah, I'm gonna nuke them and try and kill 4 guardsmen. So like
there's interchanging rules here. There's a mixture between terrain setups, meaning that you could potentially get in a position where you could see someone, but it is generally reliant on someone deploying poorly enough that you can get a strike off. So I would say that is an opportunity for an alpha strike, but not. I'm going to say an alpha strike is something that your opponent almost can't avoid.
If it's unavoidable, then it's bad.
Like the Commando Alpha Strike, which is essentially
the knob in your face with the dynamite.
You can't even backline because potentially they can, depending on the deployment and the map, they could get it still because they just had to be 6 inches from your deployment zone. Yeah, and they could on an open board they could just be boom and throw a dynamite and then you're out in the open. But so you think alpha strikes where you have to quote unquote earn it are okay?
I think are a good thing because if there's no threat of an alpha, then you can just deploy however you want. Yeah, and like there's a fun mini game is like looking at my team, my deployment, my enemy's team. Do they have an alpha? They have that is a fun mini game to be like. So, like sometimes at Tampa, I was like, because it was very Turning Point Tactics Map Pack 2 inspired, where it's 1 piece of heavy in your DZ, 3 pieces of heavy in the middle, and so it's like, I guess I'm putting all 6 Marines under this piece of Octarius because I don't want to get alphaed by an overcharged plot. So like sometimes it is that, and you got to fight through it. So I think alphas, again, it's kind of a cop-out, but alphas that you can sort of deploy against, I think, are good to be in the game. But what's an example? Do you have? Because you have some thoughts that are more well thought out than mine here. Like, what's an example? What are your thoughts?
I don't have thought. I'm just meaning in general. I wonder if they're trying to give teams a potential alpha strike because that is quote unquote fun for competitive plays to have these. And I do agree, like being able to, like when you see, like there's this amazing moment in a game where you think you've seen an alpha strike and you set someone up and then the scouting phase, you're like, hang on a sec, if they pick this, my alpha strike, and then that person takes a recon dash and you're like, and there's part of the game where you're like, I like that little interchange where you're like, are they leaving that guy out there? Like, is there a bait? And I do like that. And it's a difference between, being able to not organically get it, but being able to manufacture an Alpha Strike where you wouldn't necessarily get it. But if you can do this, do that, and they do this, you can get an Alpha Strike, and it's amazing because you've earned it. Whereas the just moving him up there, being able to fly and then just blasting, or being able to deploy and then charge through any terrain, and it's just sort of like, I can't avoid it. It does feel an unearned Alpha Strike. You've not had to do anything but pick that army to be able to do this to me, and it's just sort of like, yeah, I don't think I'm not sure if they're a mistake. Like, it was not rules as intended. They were just written like, oh, you can do this because it sounds cool. And then someone's thought, well, hang on a second, if I do this and do this, rules as written, I could then do this. But they're just not bothered to change it because it's, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But
I've had, like, you mentioned that, like, competitive play, alphas in regards to competitive play. I've played casual games where I, like, turn one, like, there's a newer player that I was walking him through the game, and I was like, okay, this guy has blast, so, like, make sure that you don't give me a blast play turn one, like, and they didn't, so I was like, okay, turn one, balefire up, it just nuked their team, and I was like, after that move, like, after 4.5 dead Tau are taken off the board, I was like, you want to re-rack, dude? To just, like, now that you know what that's like, re-rack, it's like, let's go ahead and do that. So, and that, like, I would hate to win a competitive game because my opponent just crapped the bed in deployment and I got to nuke them off the board. Like, to me, I want, like, and at Tampa, I had a few games like this where I matched into someone who was new. Like, I matched in a couple different intercession, which again, like, as Legionaries, give me all the intercession. Like, I want that matchup all day long. But there was, intercession, you get some new players, and you just, like, run right through them. It's like, man, it doesn't feel like a particularly earned win. In a competitive environment, I want to feel like, man, we had a good game. And it's kind of like a sword fight. Kill Team is sort of like a sword fight. I think I've made this analogy before, where typically the first person to make a mistake is the loser, generally. Yeah. And so, like, if it happens in deployment, it's like, now you got to, that's sort of how I feel about it.
I think that's what it is. I think you've got it, for me, nail on head, in that it does feel like a game of mistakes. And in a way, I like that, because you've got different teams. It's a mixture between a game of like, who makes the first mistake and the team that you're running. Are they able to, how much of a burden can they take off your mistake? So if you're running all Nurgle and you've got a fiber feel no pain, they're a little bit more forgiving on those mistakes. Whereas if you're running a 7 wound vet guard team and you make a mistake, you might end up with 4 dead guard, and if one of them's your comms, you've probably lost the game. Like, and then it's I like the fact that different teams, because then you can pick, because the risk and reward of a vet guard team over all Nurgle Legionaries is the difference. You're more maneuverable, you've got more tools, and I like the risk reward of taking different teams and how they impact when you make a mistake. But like you, I really want the start of a game. I don't want to be the most mentally taxed at the beginning of the game. Like, I want to I want to be like, and I'm not just saying that because I've rocked up very hungover and had to deal with that and then go, but like, it is like the hardest, for me, it is the hardest part of the game. And kudos on people who play that well. But it's just, I think it's one of those ones where you need to know, if you're playing Kill Team and there's teams with Alpha Strikes out there, there's a burden on you to know your opponent's team more.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for watching. The full pod is available where you listen to your podcast. We stream live on Twitch at Casual Wargamers, and the full video podcast is available now to all tiers of our Patreon. See you next week.